Do you ever feel like you're ready to jump into real estate, but you feel kind of stuck? And one of the things that is keeping you stuck, you're like, where is the money gonna come from? Well, guess what? You're not alone. And when I was starting my business, I was in the same boat. And here's one of the most common questions I get. Can I use my home equity to invest in rental properties? And here's the short answer. Yes. In fact, that's how I got started. And that's also why we use our Burky method, so you can recycle your money. You're listening to the Real Estate Fast Pass, the show that helps busy professionals and high income earners build wealth through real estate without overcomplicating the process. I'm Jimmy Vreeland, investor, entrepreneur, and the founder of Vreeland Capital, the Done For You real estate team. Today on the show, we're answering the big question. How do you turn equity in your personal residence into the fuel for your real estate portfolio? And to help me break it down, I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Susie, because without her vision and her persistence, we would have never taken the leap that launched our real estate business. So in this episode, here's what you're gonna learn. Why a home equity line of credit can be your best source of capital. How we turned the rundown house, money pit house that we bought to live in into the launchpad for dozens of rental properties. And why velocity of money, not just savings, is the key to building long-term wealth. Plus, we'll share the behind-the-scenes story of our house, the deal that started it all, and why sometimes best investment isn't buying just another property. It's about buying the first property. So if you're sitting on equity and you're wondering what's next, stay with us. This episode of the Real Estate Fast Pass could be your green light. All right, welcome back to the Real Estate Fast Pass. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that I keep getting a question from people when they call in. It's, what about my home equity loan? Can I use my home equity loan to invest in real estate? And the answer is yes. And Susie and I are going to talk about how our personal residence, no way we start this business without the line of credit that we got from this house. So welcome to the podcast, Boo.
Oh, thanks for having me. So for people who might be near or new to this idea, what does it mean to use the equity of your home to invest in rental properties?
So here, if you have bought your house before 2019, it is almost guaranteed that you have a ton of equity in your house. So a lot of people working with our team, what we do for a lot of people is we show them that they're more liquid than they actually are. Like traditional financial planning, you should not take equity from your home and invest in stocks. Like, it's not safe, it's not appropriate. But with a BRRRR deal, when you're getting most of your money back, I say it's more than an acceptable risk to take a line of credit from your house, call it a $200,000 line of credit. This is what we did. Buy $200,000 houses that you're all in for around a 160 and have the bank refinance out all or most of your cash and then buy more and more houses. And that is actually how we started our business.
Yes.
And so
do you want to get into, what year did you say? Like, if you bought your house in what year, you probably have some equity?
Anything before 2020?
Well, but I literally just got off the phone with a family member who bought a house that needed some work and just did a huge renovation on a home that was dated. So situations like that where I was asking her, have you recently done this? And she said, no, but that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
So what was your situation, our situation, and how did we use this to our advantage?
And so we're going to also get into a little bit of scarcity versus abundance mindset here. But when I first started on this, when I was in my rich dad, poor dad thing, it's like, I thought we would live in this 1,000 square foot. How many bedrooms were there?
There were 2 legitimate bedrooms.
Yeah. So two bed, little 1 bath bungalow. Like in St. Louis, when you get married and you start having a family, a lot of people live in South City before they move out to mid county.
Yeah.
But I thought we would save a ton of money, live in this 2-1 bungalow, and there wasn't even a master bath. I think.
No, there was not a master bath.
Yeah.
There was one main bathroom between the kitchen and the dining room. So whenever we had guests over, it just wasn't very private.
No, it wasn't private at all.
I'd be like in a towel bumping through family members to get to the bath.
Yeah.
Get to the bedroom.
So there was no family members staying over. And so in my scarcity mindset, my plan was I'm going to earn a bunch of money, work really hard, and then invest in real estate with my after-tax income. My lovely wife, though, who continued to get pregnant during this time period.
I feel like I did it myself.
I know. But, you were coming to me and saying, hey, Bubba is on his way. We need a bigger spot. And I was like, no, they can share a bedroom. We don't need it. Why don't you talk about what you were doing at that time?
So we had 2 kids that were 13 months apart, and I was seeing that things were escalating.
Because it was a cool house when it was just you and me.
It was a great house. I love the area, but as the kids started to get older, I grew up in like a great like bike riding neighborhood with a big yard. Like I wanted the kids to have a yard as they got older and be able to like ride their bikes to school and to their friends' houses. So I kind of had a vision for having a home with, just a little more space for them to run wild. And Jimmy was very happy to stay where we were. And this was in 2011.
Yeah, 2011 or 2012.
Yeah. So I was stowing away furniture in the detached garage. He had no idea. I was not staying in the house. I was making plans to go. So I was stashing furniture. I was looking on Zillow. And Jimmy gave me very specific parameters. He didn't want to go, so he made it as difficult as possible for me to find a house. So what were your parameters?
So in St. Louis, like there's an inner belt, a main highway, and all the hospitals I was working at the time were on that inner belt. So I did not want to go outside that belt. And so at the price points we were shopping, I was like, there's no way she's going to find a house inside this belt.
And things are much more affordable as you go outside, of course.
Yeah, and it's much more affordable.
So I had price and location.
Yes.
So I like a challenge, and I was not going to be confined to this. So I looked every day, and I knew every single.
And you were pregnant at the time, and I think probably still breastfeeding, so you weren't sleeping.
Yeah.
And so what did you do with your time while you were asleep?
I was just up at night on Zillow, and I found this house that was in the parameters, but there was a lot of red flags. Like it wasn't listed correctly. So something had to be wrong with this house for it to be in this area listed at this price. So I woke Jimmy up and I told him we were going to go look at this house. So we come upon this house in a great neighborhood. And when we walked in the door, our agent at the time looked at us and was like, this house needs a lot of work. And Jimmy's shaking his head like, absolutely not. And I go,
yeah, it's no central heat, no central air, 100-year-old house, 7,000 square feet. How many bed and bath?
There were 10 bedrooms.
10 bedrooms. 4 bathrooms.
No. Yes, 4.5 baths.
And then if you've ever seen the movie The Money Pit, it kind of looks like that house on The Money Pit. But like.
Yes. So I saw the character, and the family that was here before, it was a big family that lived here before, and the kids had grown up, and
they had 8 kids. Like
9.
It was 9. It was a very vibrant house.
Yeah. So it was a great, everybody knew of this house, and it was just the right person that had to buy it. Because the father had been living here for some time, and I think it was a lot to keep up with. And I think all of our friends walked this house, and everybody's like, no way. Like,
yeah,
nobody's crazy enough to do this. And
yes.
like people's marriages would suffer if they bought a house like this, but I was up to the task and it fit the parameters. So Jimmy at the last minute,
and it was on short sale. So it was clearly undervalued. Like we were getting it for a steal.
Yeah.
But that steal, I think the current house we were living in was worth like 150, maybe 180.
Yeah.
And this, even at a short sale, it was originally listed at $1 million.
I think it was more.
It was then it was listed at that point for $400,000. So very cheap for the neighborhood, but still double what we are currently doing.
Yes. But it wasn't far off from the number that we had in mind. So then Jimmy comes up with one last caveat, and he says, okay, But because I walked in the door, I didn't even go on the second floor. I didn't even walk around. I took one step in. I saw the fireplace. I saw the woodwork. I saw the black and white original tile. I saw all the original fixings of the house. And I was like, but we'll take it. And the guy's like laughing, and Jimmy's laughing, like, are you insane?
Because I'm like, oh, there's no way this is passing FHA inspection.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way the bank will lend.
And I said, well, that was not part of the criteria. And he goes, okay, I'll make you a deal. The foundation has to be sound, and then I'll agree to it. And I said, okay, I'll take that bet. So we shook on it, and the inspection came back, and everything.
The dude was like, this house is solid as a rock. It just hasn't been updated in 25 years.
Yeah, it literally needs everything except work on the foundation. I said, terrific. We'll take it. And were you happy?
No, I was terrified. We were doubling up. We had another kid on the way. And I was like, how am I going to live my rich dad, poor dad dream? And how am I going to acquire more assets? And so that was the scarcity mind inside me. But then my brain started working again once you encouraged me strongly to stop being a little, I don't usually curse on the podcast, but to stop being a little bitch. And
I didn't say those words.
You say words close to that. And I needed a kick in the ass.
I was just more like, we'll figure it out. Like, we figured everything else out, so we'll figure it out.
And so then my next fear was like, how are we going to furnish a 7,000 square foot house?
Not to worry.
And that's where Craigslist came in. So my deal was, my brain started using math again and be like, wait a minute, we're getting this house at probably 40% of its value. And I knew enough about real estate at the point. I'm like, wait a minute, how am I going to buy more rentals? We're going to live in this house for 6 months, and just living in the house and painting it rose the value of the house like $250,000.
Yeah. So I did agree. I said, okay, here's the deal. We're not going to pay a contractor for like the first
We're going to live without central heat or central air.
I bought a bunch of space heaters
for the first 2 years. Yeah.
And I bought 15 gallons of Killam Beige paint, and I went to work. And my parents helped me paint the dining room. I painted the front room. We ripped out a bunch of carpet, pulled out about 5 million staples.
Yeah, the staples were nice.
We didn't even refinish the wood floors, but the original wood floors were underneath. Either way, it was a lot of elbow grease, and we got it reappraised.
So 6 months, all we did was paint it and clean it up.
Literally just paint, and we ripped out carpets.
And we bought it at like $400, and I believe it appraised at $650.
Yeah.
So then after the appraisal, I go to the Mr. Banker, hey, I need a line of credit on the house. So the banker gave me a line of credit for $200,000. What did I do with the $200,000? I would buy, so we were buying cheaper stuff at the time. But so this is 2011, 2012. It's still the upswing from the Great Recession. So we were buying $50,000. I would buy 5 $50,000 houses, put $20,000 into them all, and then they'd be worth $100,000, and then we would refi out all the cash. So I got $200,000 from the bank. So I probably bought three houses at a time. Did the BRRRR method, refied the houses out, re-put the money back into the line of credit, and repeated the process for probably 2 to 3 years. Then all the money that those flips and rentals produced, and I was doing a little better at my job, then we used that cash to then pour back into the house. What did we do next? What was the next project? Then we redid the kitchen.
Yeah, we redid the kitchen and did central heat and
put central heat and air.
So we electrocuted each other. You know how like when it's winter and it's really dry and you shock someone when you touch them? We had space heaters all over the house. And we would just shock each other. Like every time we got into bed, there would be like sparks.
Yeah.
So we did the kitchen, and then we did central heat and AC. Oh, and there was heating and air conditioning on the second floor where the bedrooms were, but not on the first floor.
Yeah. And then, redoing the kitchen, that made the house appraise another $150K higher. So paid the bank back for the kitchen because it was about $100,000 to do the kitchen and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I still had $200,000 to keep acquiring rentals. And then once I did the BRRRR method probably 20 times, then I had a big lender in town who knew what I was doing, lend me $1 million. And so if we had just stayed in that bungalow, no chance would we have been able to build the business.
It would have been more difficult. We would have just had to start much slower.
Yeah.
It would have been possible.
And so I bring this up because people are always curious is how can they get their cash to do their BRRRRs? How can they earn enough money? And generally I'm like, you don't need to. Like you probably have equity in your home. And since real estate is so safe, it's like doing these BRRRRs and you're going to get the money back to put back into your line of credit. This is most people's starter capital. Most people come here and can start buying houses with me, not changing anything. They don't have to liquidate stocks. All they have to do is liquidate the equity they already have in their home to make more equity.
Yeah. So you've said the term BRRRR, and I'm sure that people that have listened to enough of your stuff know what that is, but can you just quickly
buy, rehab, refinance? I'll do a quick blurb. Sorry for everybody who's been listening to the podcast, but you buy a $200,000 house, you're all in for $160,000 to $170,000. The bank lends you 80% of the appraised value of the house. 80% of $200,000 is $160,000. You get all your money back. So you recycle your money and you do this over and over again until you get as many houses as you want.
Like rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Okay. So once somebody has access to that capital, like once somebody goes to the bank and gets a home equity line of credit, what's the smartest way to put it to work? Like what's the next step?
In a BRRRR. I wish it was more complex. Yeah.
I know, but call your team. But what does that look like from their perspective? They reach out to you guys.
Yeah, they do an all-morning call with Christy. They get a target setting call with me so we know how many we're going to buy and what we're going to try to do. And then you start seeing deals from us. You say, hey, that's the deal I want. And then Christy sends you a sales contract. We give you a closing date. You call your line. For example, I'm buying a house today from our line of credit. I got to call the bank. I forgot about that. Oh, yeah. But so, we're still doing this with this line of credit. You call the bank, say, hey, wire the money to the title company. And then the transaction happens. You now own the house. And then my team gets to work on the rehab. Before you know it, 3 months later, you have a resident in that house and you call the appraiser back and you have the house appraised and you do a cash out refi and get your money back.
Okay.
Did that go too fast?
It sounds like you've done this before.
It's so easy.
So what does it look like from their end? Like when they are analyzing a rental property, and we used to put a lot more thought into this before, and now my like Steve Jobs thought on this. But like
give everybody the Steve Jobs thought.
Well, just quick, like what numbers are they looking for, and then I'll say my Steve Jobs thought.
They're looking for the house to appraise out around $200,000, and they're looking to be in it for $160,000 to $175,000.
Okay, so I'll give you my. Jimmy and I were talking about this the other day. I think people love the idea of like analyzing a deal.
Oh, I had this question with a guy this week who called in like, how do I make sure I get the really good deals, Jimmy? How do I be the savviest investor you have? And I'm like, you can't. This is not a game. The game we are playing is for the unsavvy. You might be really smart and that's cool, but this is not your full-time job. You're going to need to do 10 deals to really be able to become savvy, but we are putting out the same deal over and over again throughout the Midwest. Yeah. So it's the same house, the same SKU over and over again.
And I even wore my turtleneck to explain this for the people who are watching on YouTube. So you know how Steve Jobs had just like he had like a uniform every day. He was notorious for wearing like a turtleneck, the same pants. He looked like he was wearing the same exact outfit every day. And if you looked at his closet, it was the same thing. And he said something to the effect of like, I have to make enough decisions in the day. I don't want to have to make a decision on what I'm going to wear. I just pick the same thing, which I've done to some extent. If you look in my closet, it looks like White House Black Market. It's like white, cream, gray, black. I've got denim and flowery dresses. So I've done it to some extent, but like we do that for the buyers. Like, we're not going to buy a crappy house or get a crappy house under a contract that we're going to try to like offload.
Yeah. We're going to do the same house 250 times a year.
Yeah. So like we give you the turtleneck. We give you the turtleneck and the denim.
Yeah.
And we say, do you want this turtleneck or this turtleneck?
And so our program is for busy, successful professionals who need to use their expertise at what they're great at. we are keeping you also, we're prohibiting decision-making fatigue. That should be another podcast, how to not have decision-making fatigue in real estate. But we take care of all that for you. We analyze it and we say, hey, this house hits to that skew of properties, and this house will make a great asset to a portfolio. But there's no way to like game our system.
Yeah.
Which could be frustrating to people, or they could appreciate it because it makes sure you don't have decision-making fatigue. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to get you what you want. We're trying to help you build wealth through real estate and get the benefits of the 4 pillars.
Yeah. So how do people balance a desire to grow fast and like protect the investment in their home? Like how do people not over leverage themselves? Like what do you recommend?
I wouldn't use line of credit money to necessarily flip, because sometimes flips go wrong and you do lose money. And so you don't, depending on your risk tolerance, I don't know if I'd use the line of credit money to flip. But the fact that you're doing such a tried and true process and you're getting the house at below market value, it protects your downside in a big way.
Yeah. Let's see. What is the role of refinancing? Like you've talked before about like a cash out refi. So what does that look like? So I know we talked about using it for like your primary residence, but what does that look like down the road once you have a portfolio of say like 10 properties?
When you have a portfolio of 10 properties, you own them for 3 to 5 years, then you take that portfolio and you go to the banker and say, hey, I want a line of credit on this portfolio of houses. And now you have more capital to buy more real estate, which is another thing we did. We owned our rentals for 5 years. We did a massive cash out refi and line of credit. And that's now what we use to buy more real estate. So it's like this snowball in this. So it's really, the technical economic term is velocity of money. But what these BRRRRs allow you to do is to take cash from one asset and then move it throughout more and more assets. So like the original down payment on this house that we're recording in right now, that house has been moving through our 60 rentals for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And so that's another problem with traditional financial planning. It's also another problem with the scarcity mindset of cash flow equals expenses. Your job when you're a high income earner should be able to put as much velocity on your cash in a safe way as possible. And that's what these deals allow you to do. Do you think I explained velocity well enough?
I think so.
Okay.
So what then would you say, like if somebody is sitting at home or in their car and listening to this and they have an inkling that they're sitting on a lot of value in their house, what do?
They call their local banker. I would recommend a local credit union for this, because they're the easiest to work with. Don't call Bank of America. So we do all of our banking at Bank of America. The big banks, the reason we use it as a small business is because of their electronic platforms and our ability to move cash fast.
Yeah.
But the Bank of America local loan guy he's not going to move fast enough. So I would go just Google local credit union. Like the line of credit we have with our house is with a credit union.
Yeah.
Go to a local credit union and get a line of credit on your personal residence or your rentals. For whatever reason, local lenders they need and want this business more.
Yeah, and they're like very eager to get back to you. In fact, they are a little too eager. They really want to talk to us.
The big 5 banks, they don't want this type of action.
Yeah. Well, I think that was very helpful.
Very helpful, and that's what I love doing about this job. Is people think a lot of people are wealthy, they're just not liquid, and what we allow them to do is help them capture that liquidity and expand it.
You do a very good job.
Oh, thanks. Well, so if you've been saying, hey, I'm sitting on the sideline right now because I don't have enough cash to get involved with the Done For You real estate team, maybe you listen to this podcast, you're like, hey, I could go get a line of credit and I can get started. I can start building that rental portfolio. If that's you, reach out. There'll be a link in the show notes, but reach out to the team, DM me on Instagram, and let's get it started. Boom. And if you found value in this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you later. So if you like what you heard today and you want to learn more, sign up for a discovery call with one of the Vreeland Capital success coaches at jimmyvreeland.com.